It's not a secret that the Roman Empire has fascinated historians for centuries. In ancient Rome, the main rule was that enslaved people could be freely tortured. Also, the most powerful empire on earth at the time happened to be one of the most bloodthirsty. And in this video today, we will look at the most horrifying punishments ever during the Roman Empire. Punishment of the sack. Punishment of the sack, or also known as poena culiae, was one of the most horrible Roman execution methods, and as the person guilty was packed in the sack and was thrown in the water to die. This brutal punishment was for the person guilty of parricide, which means the killing of their father. The person who did this would be kept alive in a leather sack with a few animals, like a dog, monkey, or a snake. This sack would then be tied and thrown in the water to make sure the person inside dies underwater. This punishment in ancient Rome first dated around 100 BC, even though its early existence is expected to be before a century. Also, the early stage of this punishment included only snakes in the sack, but including other animals started only after imperial times. This punishment was famous during the rule of Emperor Hadrian, when he would order for rooster, monkey, snake, and dog to be kept in the sack. Although this execution technique stopped around the 3rd century AD during the rule of Emperor Constantine, and it was resumed again during the rule of Emperor Justinian, right after around 200 years of ending it. But it was later replaced by burning alive. Thrown from the Tarpeian Rock. Located on the southern end of Capitoline Hill is Tarpeian Rock, a cliff in the center of Rome. The cliff overlooks the Roman Forum, which is the old city center of ancient Rome. This cliff has been one of the most favorite spots to execute various criminals and enemies. It was pretty simple, as the victims were just thrown off the 25-meter high cliff. Also, the Tarpeian Cliff was named after one of the Vestal Virgins, Tarpeia, who had betrayed the Romans by opening the city gates for an enemy named Titus Statius in the 8th century BC. And after the betrayal was discovered, the other Vestal Virgins crushed Tarpeia with their shields and threw her body off the cliff. And so, the cliff was named after her, and betrayal along with other criminal offenses were punished by being thrown from it. Death by parasites. This used to be another horrible Roman execution method destined by Emperor Domitian, mainly for Christians. Under this method, the culprit would be put inside a barrel after filling it with milk and honey. The entire body would be stored inside the barrel, where the head would be sticking out from the barrel. Then the barrel would then be kept out in the sun for the body to rot. Then the body would start to rot in a few days, and the parasites born from that would kill the person. Also, the honey and milk would attract the insects and make the body rot quicker and easier. Molten gold poured down the throat. This terrible Roman execution method of pouring molten gold down the throat started many centuries ago. Under this method, a guilty person would pour a bar of molten gold down his or her throat, eventually leading to death. Roman general Marcus Licinius Crassus was one of the most famous people who used this method. The general was executed as he had an unquenchable thirst for wealth. There were times when someone guilty would be poured molten lead instead of gold. The steam and the heat made by the molten gold would end up in a burst of body organs at once, which led to death. Anyone made to swallow the molten gold would not control the flowing of it within the body and die in a torturous way. Crucifixion. Back in the day, the ancient Romans loved a good crucifixion. It was the primary method used to torture and kill countless enslaved people. But crucifixion didn't always involve nailing the accused to a cross. Back then, the accused was stripped, the head was covered, and they were tied down onto a cross. The person was then flogged until he died. And if the accused was not supposed to die by continuous flogging, then the next course of action would be nailing his hands to the cross beam. The person would be then hoisted onto a planted post, and their feet were nailed to the post. They might be left there to die a slow death, or the thighs might be broken to help speed his end. These methods used differed from different executioners, with no one set method of crucifixion for all. And in some cases, the accused might be hung upside down on the post. In other times, the executioner had the post driven through the accused's private parts. What are your thoughts on this? Let us know in the comments section down below. Thanks for watching. See you again soon in another video.